I'm starting a new project. It's an art journal in an ocean theme. So today I'm going to show you how I create the journal just using envelopes, and then I'm also going to be creating the cover. So first I want to start out working on the cover for this journal because I needed to get started somewhere. I needed some inspiration to get this journal going. So I'm going to start out first by coloring in the mermaid. And so this mermaid is part of the digital from Bea Grob, and Bea Grob has a new kit out. It includes stamps and some tapes and different things, so I will link below to that, but today I'm just going to be using the stamps and the digitals. So what I did for this digital, some of the pages I printed out full size and others I printed 2 per page. And so for this mermaid, I didn't print 2 per page, but I printed it, I had my settings set 2 per page so I could print the mermaid page smaller to fit the cover of my journal. So my journal is using envelopes, and so it would not work for a full page printed out. So any of your digital kits, you can do this. You can print 1 per page, which will be your full-size page, 2 per page, or, so on and so forth. You can make them even little journal cards if you wanted to. And we may do that later on. So I'm just using my alcohol markers to color in the mermaid, and then I'm adding a little bit of shimmer spray here to her. And I thought if I could dab it with a paper towel before it dried, I could add a little texture, but that didn't work because this spray dries immediately. But I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there's a lot of glitter on her dress now. So I wanted her to have a little bit of glitter spray to her and have a little bit of, something different. So like I said, I'm using a lot of different mixed media things, but I am not adding a lot of stuff for this page. I'm keeping it very simple. So if you have never done mixed media, this is a very simple project that you could follow along and do. I plan to work on this journal every month, and so I will at least once a month bring a video showing you what I'm doing in the journal, and it'll be on Wednesday. So one Wednesday out of every month. This is the first Wednesday of March that I'm bringing this, but the next few months it could be on the second Wednesday. So be sure, if you're not subscribed to my channel, if you'd like to follow along and see how this journal turns out, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. And I'm looking forward to working on this ocean theme journal. I don't do a lot of things with ocean theme, so I thought this would be a lot of fun. And this new kit that she has is supposed to be like a magical fairy mermaid type kit. You could use the butterflies there for a fairy mermaid, but I did cut some out and try it, but I liked her hair the way I had it, so I'd have to trim her hair back a little bit if I did that, just so you could see the wings. So now I'm just going to fussy cut her out, and when I'm trimming her out, I do kind of adjust the hair. You can see some of the edges there got a little rough, so I'm just going to trim around it and kind of round them out so that it's a little bit smoother. And this is a really easy image to cut out, so I didn't worry about trying to pull it into my silhouette and cut it. I just decided to just fussy cut it. And I'm just following the edges of the mermaid to cut her out. You can check out Bea Grob's channel to see how she creates these. So she has hand-drawn these images, and that's what I love about it. She has really inspired me to give this a try. I want to try drawing some images now myself for my own journals. Normally I just use digitals or ephemera that I find. I've never tried to draw. I'm not that good at drawing, but you're going to see in an upcoming project, I am going to try to draw. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work out, I'll just have to trace the image to create the project that I want to show you. But she really has inspired me with her kit, with the backgrounds that she's created and the different things that she's made. It's a really neat kit that she's created here. So now I'm coming in with some of my circle dies, and if you've watched my channel any at all, you probably know that I love die cutting. So I've got to bring some die cutting into this project. And so I want to create a few little bubbles. But now if you don't like die cutting or don't have a die cutting machine and you want to do something similar, you could always just draw circles or trace circles somehow and cut them out. But you know me, I love using my die cuts. So that's what I did. Any reason to bring out my dies is, I'm going to do it. So I decided I wanted to make little bubbles on my page, so I'm just using some little dies for that. So here is the stamp set from Bea, and I am just going to be stamping the starfish today. I'm not going to be using the other stamps You can see here the starfish is a really nice stamp. I love the details that are on the starfish, especially the shading look that you get when you stamp the stamp. So I just wanted to put a few of the starfish onto the ocean floor. And this is another digital that I printed out 2 per page and then cut out so that it will fit my journal. Because like I said, I'm using envelopes, and I can't remember if these are, can't remember the number from, you know, you have A7, A9s, but I will say that these envelopes measure 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I needed my pages to be smaller so that they fit my envelopes. And now I'm just coming in with some script stamp that I have. This is an old stamp that I've had for a long time. And so what I want to do with it is I want to just frame out the top of my page, the ocean part of the page. I'm just using the script to just add a little frame around the edges there. So I'm not doing a lot of, like I said, this is a very simple mixed media. I'm not adding a lot of, adding any paste or anything like that or paints. I'm just, you know, doing something very simple, but I found this to be a great start for my journal because, you know, I wanted to start this journal is just finding the inspiration. Like, I mean, the papers and things were my inspiration, but finding how to begin, I guess I should say. And sometimes you just have to start. And I had to remind myself, these are digitals. So if I totally mess up, I could have started over. But thankfully, the idea that I had worked from the start. But you never know. So that's the great thing about digitals is you can print as many as you need. So if you mess up, you can always start over. So I've gone ahead and cut out some of the little starfish here and the seashell. And they were on and the little turtle here. And they were on pages where I printed, you know, the page half size, I guess you should say. So since I'm saying 2 per page, they're like half size. And so I thought they would add to the little cover as well. So I'm just going to glue everything down now that I've laid it out like I like it. I really have not been creating in any of my art journals recently. And so I have in the back of my mind been wanting to get back to it. And so this is the year that I'm going to get back to it. You're going to see me doing more art journals and more journal pages for not necessarily creating huge journals like I have before, like the junk journals. I do have a bunch of those in my mind that I want to create as well. So I'm hoping to find the time for those. But I really want to make just work in my art journals, you know, because an art journal, I have one that's just a store-bought journal, and those you can just add page, you know, just decorate a page when you feel like it. So I will be working in that one, but I also want to create some of my own art journals that I can work in. So this is my first one, and this is going to be ocean themed. Now the next one that I'm planning on creating will not be themed, so be sure to check out my channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you'll see when I upload that, because I'm thinking if I have time, life gets busy, but I'm hoping that on Wednesdays I can bring you art journal or journal projects. And some weeks it may just be my junk journal projects, but I'm hoping to just try to do that on Wednesdays of each week. We'll see how it goes. And it may just be every other week, but be sure to check out my channel. Check back if you don't get the notifications when I upload. You may just want to check back and see what's new on my channel if you're wanting to follow along and see what I'm creating. You can also follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find me at Making Crafts Studio on Instagram and on Facebook. And so I do share on there as well. I share on Instagram a lot of photos of what I'm working on. And so you can follow me there if you'd like to see. And that way, when I put out a new video, I try to put that out on Facebook and Instagram to let you know that I have a new video out. So if you're on Instagram, be sure to check me out there as well. And so I have links below in my description to, you know, all of my accounts like that. And I'll also, like I said, I will link to these products that I'm using today. So now what I'm doing is I want to add a little bit of dimension to these bubbles and to the images on my page. So I'm coming back in and I'm just adding a little bit of black markings around. And I can't remember if this time I was using a charcoal pencil or if I was just using an art pencil. I'm not really sure. So you know what? I'm not an artist. So I like to play around with mixed media, but you know, I don't know all the correct terms sometimes for these pencils, but these are just the art pencils that you buy. And but I can't remember. I'm thinking this may be a charcoal pencil that I'm using, but don't hold me to it. And then I just come in and I just smudge the edges. So I don't want the edges to be harsh that I am adding. So I am just going to smudge those to kind of blend them out and just add a bit of a shadow around the edges of my bubbles as well as my mermaid. And hopefully as I get more into art journaling, in the past I've just done it off and on, but the more I get into it, maybe I'll have more knowledge for you that I can share with you as to what all of these pencils are for. And I just use them how I want to use them. And that's kind of the thing with art supplies too. You don't always have to stick to the set rules. And that's what I love about art and creating is there is not always set rules with everything. So please, if you're an art teacher or an artist, please forgive me if I am not using these things the way that you were taught to use them. But I love to just play. And so I like to encourage people to just play. Just get a few supplies and play with them. See what you can do with them. It's just paper. So if you mess up, you can always start over. And so don't get discouraged. So you can see here, this is just going to be a very simple page. But I do want to add these little bit of markings here to kind of add some shading and different things to help these images seem more 3D, to pop more off of the page. And you can see as I add them, it does add a bit of dimension to the objects on the page. So I am using my charcoal pencil today to blend everything out, but you could use watercolor to add shading around your images as well. But the paper I'm using today is 32-pound printer paper. Let's see, premium printer paper. So it's not quite copy paper, but it's a little heavier than that, but it's not as heavy as cardstock or watercolor paper or mixed media paper. So if I was going to use watercolor to add the shading, I feel like I need a little bit more thicker paper, like some sort of cardstock or at least some mixed media paper. Not necessarily watercolor paper, but or I need to add some gesso or something to strengthen my paper. So I'm just using the charcoal pencil, and I find it really relaxing to just use the charcoal pencil and shade. And you can see, look at that little turtle. I feel like he just popped up off the page. It almost looks like like I may have added foam dots or something underneath him. It really makes him pop up. So I was very happy with how he looked when I got done with the shading. And so then I'm just going to go around the mermaid a little bit more and add a bit more shading to her. And then I'll just fussy with it a bit more as I go along, just adding a little bit of shading to different parts of the mermaid and the turtle. So once I'm happy with the shading, I am just going to come in and add a little bit more alcohol marker to her hair just to fill in some of the white space where I cut her hair out. So I found these little sayings. I don't guess they're poems. They're kind of like little poems. But look, I went online and I started searching for sayings, ocean sayings and poems until I found one I liked, and I loved this one. It says, "The ocean is everything I want to be. Beautiful, mysterious, wild, and free." I thought that was perfect for this image. So I'm just going to add a little ink to it so it looks aged and kind of looks like the color of the sand, so that I can add it to the bottom of the page. Well, that's my plan, is when I cut it out, is to add it to the bottom of the page. So I'm thinking that it would look good here at the bottom, right there in the sand, kind of just blend it in, or it could fit at the top here, but I do think that at the bottom would be best, my original thought. So then I'm just going to glue it to the bottom of my page, and then we have our journal cover completed. So now that I have the cover created, let's go ahead and get started on creating the little journal. And this is going to be super quick. So to get started, I am going to lay out 4 envelopes. And like I said, these measure about 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. And so what I'm going to do is I want to take and glue 2 of them together. So I'm just going to take and make sure that, now my envelopes all came from the same package. If you're just using some junk mail that you have, try to find ones that kind of fit together like this. So you want your flap to be able to fit inside of your envelope. So I want to just add a little bit of glue to the outside of the flap of my envelope. And then I'm just going to slide this back down into the other envelope. And this is a little hard since you do have that glue on there. It does get a little messy, but you can clean up that glue in a moment if you need to. So when you slide it down, you just want to make sure that all of your edges are lined up straight and that your envelope is tucked down in there really good, and then that your left-hand edges there are all lined up and the top and bottom are lined up. And so then we're going to just do that again. We're just going to put another set of envelopes together. And I thought this was a fun little way to make a mini journal. So then I'm just going to slide these into, or slide this one into the other envelope just like we did before, making sure that we tuck it down far enough that our flap can close again if it needed to, and so that all of our edges are lined up. You can see it's very simple. It doesn't take much work to get everything lined up. So now we want to connect these two together to create pages for our journal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and add glue to the outside of the flap of the first one. So when we tuck that in, we had this flap left loose, and it was the flap on the envelope that we tucked the other envelope into. So we're going to take and add glue to the outside of that flap, and we're just going to use that as a hinge to attach it to our other set of envelopes. And there we have our little mini journal. Now I am going to come through so you can see here when I added that in with some glue, so I cleaned it off. But so we have our mini journal, and we have 4 pages so far. So I'm going to leave this flap free, and I'm cleaning the glue off so it doesn't get stuck to the back. But we can add more pages there, or we can just glue that flap over if we want to just be done. But I want to leave it so I have the option of adding more pages. So here is the mini journal. So that was really quick. I told you that journal comes together super quick. So now let's go ahead and decorate the cover. So I've gone ahead and printed out another one of the digital pages, and this is the music page, as I call it, with the ocean theme. And so what I'm going to do is just tear off, and I printed it full page, you can see. And I am using 32-pound premium paper, and I buy this from Amazon. So I have a link below where you can see all the products that I buy from Amazon. And so a lot of the products that I'm using here are at that link if you want to see what they are. So I'm just going to tear this down to fit the front of my cover, but I want a little bit of that brown envelope showing. I chose the brown envelopes because I did want that look on my pages as well. Now, this is the beginning of my cover. Once I figure it out, I haven't totally decided, but I want to add something more to the cover. I don't know if I want to add some lace on the side or I don't think it's really lace. I may want to add a little bit of fabric. I want some sort of ruffle around the edges. So I don't know if that's going to be paper or fabric or what it will be, or some sort of ribbon. I don't know. So I'm going to leave it like this, and then I will decide, later on, because like I said, I'm going to work on this journal for several months, so I can always change the cover up a bit once I figure out what I want. There's no hurry. So here's my journal so far. I hope that you will follow along with me as I work on this journal, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing this and it inspires you to create something today. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.